Polish farmer Jan Wolski claimed in 1978 that he had been invited by aliens to board their spacecraft. While on board the craft, they examined him. After the examination, he was then offered some honey-looking treats. The event, known as the Emilcin abduction, is one of the most well-known encounters with extraterrestrials in Poland. Unfortunately, after the incident, Wolski's family suffered much tragedy. The encounter begins on May 10, 1978, when a 71-year-old farmer from Emilcin, a small village in eastern Poland, was riding his horse-drawn carriage through the woods on his way home when he came across two small human-like beings with green skin and large black slanting eyes. They were about 1.5 meters tall and wearing tight black overalls. The humanoids hitched a lift onto his carriage. They sat next to him but communicated with him in an unintelligible language. He assumed they may have been foreigners. Wolski then saw a large bus-like object hovering in the air after he passed some bushes and entered into a clearing. Wolski reported that the UFO he saw was 5 meters high, as long as a minibus, and pure white in color. It hovered at an altitude of 4.9 meters and had no visible external features such as lights or joints. He also noted the presence of 4 black objects on the craft that appeared drill-like and produced a humming sound. A platform resembling an elevator descended from the hovering craft to the ground. Wolski was then asked to come onto the UFO. He went along with his 2 humanoid traveling companions. In an interview 2 months after the event, he said that he tied his horse, got off, and went after the humanoids toward the craft. He said that the craft had a tiny elevator of some kind for 2 people. Maybe it couldn't carry 2 large people, but it surely could carry 2 of those small humanoids. Then one of the humanoids went up the elevator and put his foot inside the craft. Wolski followed and stepped onto the elevator and was rapidly carried up to the entrance of the craft. Wolski noticed there were 8 or 10 benches in the craft, each the size for 1 person to fit in. Wolski stated that the UFO had no windows or portholes, and a limited amount of light entered through a door-like opening. There were some rooks in front of the door which were moving their legs and wings, but seemed to be immobilized. He was then asked to take off his clothes. According to Wolski, when undressed, an alien held some plate-like devices to the front of his body, turned him around while holding his arm slightly, raised his arm up, and performed some action on his sides with the plates, and repeated the process from behind and on the other side. Interestingly, after the aliens completed their examination, they offered Wolski food in the form of honey like icicles, but he declined. After some time, he decided to leave, and he nodded and said goodbye to the aliens, who nodded in return. Throughout the entire encounter, he was never forced to do anything. Wolski was stunned by his experience and shared his story with his family and neighbors. His sons gathered a group and went with Wolski back to the supposed landing site of the UFO, but they found nothing but crumpled grass and scattered tracks in various directions. Wolski left the landing site and returned home, while his sons and neighbors remained searching for evidence. His sons discovered some footprints but didn't mention their size. The Wolski family suffered unfortunate consequences following the supposed UFO sighting. Family members began to become ill, and 3 years later, his son Edward Wolski died under unexplained circumstances, with his body discovered in a nearby forest. Today, the Wolski farm remains deserted. The incident was referred to as a close encounter of the 4th kind by journalists and UFO enthusiasts. 2 journalists, Henryk Pomorski and Krystyna Adamczyk, conducted an interview with Wolski 2 months after the event and recorded it on tapes. Although the recordings were locked away in a local archive for years, they were eventually made public. A Polish ufologist from the city of Lodz named Zyszablania brought the Wolski alien encounter to widespread attention in the media. Upon learning of the incident, he went to Emilcin to conduct an investigation. Blania had previously published articles on UFOs and alien encounters, but they hadn't received much attention. However, he took Wolski's case seriously and wanted to handle it with credibility. He even consulted a psychologist to verify that Wolski was a completely normal person with no mental health issues. Blania also located another witness who reported seeing the UFO that day. A 6-year-old boy claimed to have seen a bus-sized UFO above the village. However, There have been allegations that the boy's account may have been manipulated by Blania. Blania earned a great profit from the story and even published a book in 1996 called Starzini v Emilcin. The incident remains deeply ingrained in the memory of the local residents and has not been forgotten for decades. In 2005, a monument was erected in Emilcin and has since become a popular tourist attraction. Additionally, a time capsule was buried next to the monument, set to be opened in 3011. The mystery of Emilcin has been the subject of further investigation by various individuals. Christoph Draz, the author of Emilcin 197, In Search of Truth, and publicist Bartosz Adutowski thoroughly reviewed the documentation from initial researchers such as Blania Bolnar, and strongly suggested that the entire incident may have been a fabrication due to the lack of consistency in the original investigation and a bias towards confirming preconceived beliefs. It is challenging to determine what truly occurred. As always, I'll let you decide.